Hello everybody and welcome back. Here we have Gul'dan, the final boss in NIGHTHOLD. So let's go over him. Phase 1 is not so much about Gul'dan, it's all about his adds. He spawns 3 different adds: the Fel Lord, the Inquisitor, and the Trapper. The Fel Lord does a huge damaging ability. He's number 2 on your list. Inquisitor is your number 1 priority. And the third, the Trapper, he needs to be tanked by the other tank. So you do see the other tank is taking the Fel Lord now. When that Fel Lord casts Shatter Essence, you want to use some mitigation ability. As a tank, you also get an extra button that allows you to live any kind of ability that's cast, so you should be using that whenever possible. Here you see the Trapper. When he casts Soul Vortex on you, as a tank, you need to run away from everyone. And as a healer, you do get an extra action button that pops that pink bubble that you've been seeing. That absorbs Fellfire damage. So as soon as you see that one of these liquid Hellfires is going to go out, you need to pop your extra action button and absorb that Fel damage. So here the Inquisitor starts casting these eyes, which is why it's important to kill him first. You do not want these eyes out at any given time. So kill him first. Try not to get any eyes out. Here we have another liquid fire absorbed by those bubbles. And something else that happens, you see here this beam coming out of Gul'dan. You do get to see how he's rotating and what area he's facing, so you shouldn't be facing the same area as him. That was the Soul Vortex. He did go down immediately after that, which is good, but as a tank you need to throw that away from the raid so it doesn't hurt anyone. One thing that we need to go over also, in LFR you don't have extra button abilities, so you don't need to be casting any of these extra things. Everything has just been tuned down. And in heroic mode, every mini boss gets an additional ability that actually telegraphs to the ground, so as long as you avoid everything, you'll be fine. Here in phase 2, you see that our main tank is solo tanking Gul'dan. What you need to do as an off tank is run into him as soon as the buff of Gul'dan falls off. This is every 25 to 30 energy. So again, you see me here stack on the other tank, you see the scythe activate, and I step away. What everybody else needs to look out for is the eyes are number 1 priority. Liquid Hellfire, again like in phase 1, we're all stacked up behind Gul'dan so that it lands on us. The healers should pop their bubble. And you do see here the empowered chains. These hurt a lot, so you need to help everybody split this damage. When someone has chains on the ground, basically they're going to take lethal damage unless it's split with everybody else in the circle around them. So when you see people in chains, run over to them and stand in the same circle as them. If you don't do this, they're going to be one shot. So again, in phase 2, stack behind the boss, pop bubbles whenever the liquid Hellfire is about to land, and if the liquid Hellfire is empowered, it's basically going to leave a puddle on the ground that you can't stand in. When you have bonds up, you need to go save your allies or they will die in a corner. Only tanks can really survive that, because you do want to save your immunities for phase 3. So again, keep an eye on that energy level of Gul'dan as an off tank. Make sure you reset it 25 to 30 energy. Stack behind him for liquid Hellfire, and with the bonds, share them with people. If you're running heroic mode, in this phase you're also going to be getting a Dreadlord. You want to keep him interrupted at all times, and you also want to prioritize him. Any adds are always priority in Gul'dan. The eyes that you do see him spawn start doing more and more damage the longer they're alive. So you do see the eyes up here. These need to be prioritized. The DPS can use their extra action button to give them a DPS boost to DPS these eyes down. Now, one thing we do have is we do have a Demon Hunter main tank, and he was able to rotate his abilities in such a way that he could solo tank Gul'dan and be able to break the chains by himself. I'm gonna go ahead and put exactly what he was doing in the description down below. If you have a Demon Hunter tank, he can main tank Gul'dan without having to rotate to the other tanks. So again, About every 30 energy, reset that Fell Scythe on Gul'dan. You should see his buff fall off, and that's exactly when you need to run into the other tank. At 40%, we get phase 3. Here we have more empowered bonds. Go ahead and run over to people and split the damage up as best as you can. Healers can use their bubble to mitigate that fire damage. Again, any add is always #1 priority to get DPS down. And nobody else should be standing on top of the main tank. There was a few attempts that we had in where people would stand on the main tank, and this would trigger Fell Scythe over and over again, which basically soft enrages Gul'dan and makes him just beat up the tank and make him go down. So you don't ever want anyone else besides the main tank and the off tank to stack where the main tank is. Avoid standing on top of the main tank at all costs. So again, here we want to go over and help our allies out, help split that damage. And here we have phase 3. Now in phase 3, we are going to keep the eyes, which are the adds. But one thing we do need to do is tank Gul'dan towards the edge of the room now. And what that's for is he's going to put the Flame of Sargeras on people, which is a debuff that makes them drop patches of fire on the ground. What we want to do is drop that in the edges of the room. Here we go, we're going to start tanking him in the edge of the room. You do see the middle of the platform now is now a well of souls. So here we have the flames that got dropped on melee, which is very unfortunate and should not happen. But you see here in the middle, we do have these wisps floating around the well. Each one of those is a soul, and if they're not being absorbed, they're gonna start doing damage to you, and they can one-shot you when Gul'dan casts Black Harvest. So remember, DPS the eyes out first, keep Gul'dan and his energy bar reset, and that's the main tank and the off tank responsibility. And if you have some type of immunity like Ice Block or Bubble, you need to run into that well, absorb as many souls as you can, and run out. Because when he casts Black Harvest, he will make every single soul in there detonate, doing raid-wide damage, and if there's too many souls in there, it'll be a one-shot. The last reason why you want to tank Gul'dan in a corner is he'll start casting Storm of the Destroyer, which you see here. It's a giant AoE that can easily take over the whole platform if you don't tank him in a corner. So again, to sum up phase 3, always DPS the eyes first. They are your #1 priority. Drop the flames away from the group towards the edge. If you have immunity, run into the well and take all of those souls and take that damage. If you do not have immunity, your off tank can go do it, or you can get range to do it one soul at a time. And lastly, dodge the Storm of the Destroyer, which is going to take up the large majority of the platform. Overall, this was a very fun fight with a lot of mechanics, something for everyone here to do. You have healers using extra action abilities, soaking the well. There's also a healing dampening shield that goes out during phase 3 that healers need to overheal and pop healing cooldowns in order to compensate for the healing absorption. DPS needs to switch to adds and drop their fell accordingly. They also have the extra damage ability, which allows them to take down the eyes even faster. And tanks need to keep eye on Gul'dan and reset his energy. If it goes too high, a tank can get one shot. But that does it for this encounter. If you like my Nighthold coverage, please go ahead and like and subscribe to my channel. I keep up to date with my guides, so as soon as new content comes out, you can rest assured that I'm going to put it out. If you need help with any more Nighthold guides, I'm going to go ahead and put them all on the screen here. And as always, good luck out there.